Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our YouTube channel. You have stopped into another episode of a conversation with him about health information management. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you took the time to click on this video. We have something special for you today, so we want you to get ready. I hope you are super excited. You might even want to get a pen and a paper, something that you could take notes on, open up your phone, unlock it, because I believe that this conversation is going to be one for the books. My name is Japera Denson, and I am serving as your host for today, always representing the qualified. And we have the beautiful opportunity to meet men who are working in the health information management profession. And we want to talk to them. We curate these conversations so that we can get to know more about their experience and what things have been like for them as they have journeyed throughout this health information management profession. So today's guest is an absolute special one, y'all. He is a lifelong student. He is a second generation health information professional who has had many jobs, several jobs, working in a variety of capacities and functions within the industry. He has worked in privacy and security. I believe I saw a release of information. He's worked as a clerk. He's going to tell us more about his background and what he has done. But he currently works as a health information management director while simultaneously serving in academia. He's been teaching as an adjunct professor for the last 5 years now, currently working for CUNY School of Professional Studies, Pace University, and St. Peter's University. Mm-hmm. So our guest today is also, before I give you his name, I'm gonna give you all his credentials, right? So our guest today is also working on obtaining his revenue cycle certificate. He is also pursuing credentials in a certified professional biller, certified revenue cycle representative, and he's earning the Fellow of the American College of Healthcare Executives credential as well. Now, that was a lot, right? Well, I'm not done.
Yeah, it was.
I ain't even done yet, Jevon. I'm not done. So on top of all that, this man has a YouTube channel as well. He is killing it on his YouTube channel, providing a wealth of information that is specific to health information management students, new professionals, seasoned professionals, but it's also information that people outside of health information management can glean and learn from. Title of his YouTube channel is Hey Professor, and that's Hey_Professor. And we will be sure to drop all of that information in the description box. But without any further ado, we got to bring, if we had a stage, if we were in person, I would say we got to bring to the stage right now, y'all, Mr. Jevon M. Presbery. Jevon, what's going on?
Nothing much. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I love to collaborate. I love to kind of just feel the energy and just, spread education and awareness of our field. And like I said, it's one of those things people don't even know about our field. When I was a coder, people were like, "You do websites?" I'm like, no, that's not even remotely what I do.
For sure. And when people hear coding, that's one of the first things they think about.
It is.
Oh my goodness. So Jevon, bring us up. Now you gave us your bio, right? We read a little bit of the bio, I think that was just a little bit. We just dropped a small amount. Okay, let's be clear about it. So tell us a little bit more about how did you even come into this profession? I read, before you answer that, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. So I read out that you are a second generation health information professional. So I believe there's a little story behind that. What is that story?
So my father was and is a medical coder and has been a medical coder my entire life. So he's always been, very instrumental and very knowledgeable. And he kind of pushed me into that field. I like to tell that joke. What do they say? The watchmaker's son became a watchmaker. The coder's son became a coder, in this instance. So I did kind of follow that path, just watching my dad work and be a professional in that field. I was very, curious about it. And I wanted to know what it entailed. But, when I got in there, I really enjoyed it. And I wanted to take it a step further. But my dad's always been very instrumental, continues to be instrumental in my success and always pushing me to do more and to be more, you know?
For sure. I absolutely love it. And so what was some of that, like, along with your dad encouraging you, like,
Mhm.
what was some of the other things that you had to do to get into this profession?
Yeah. So when I graduated with my associate's degree back in 2011, and I'm aging myself. I always see I got grades right here. I always say they're not age grades. These are stress grades. And this is the side that always faces my staff. So I'd be like, y'all stressing me out. So you tell right here. This is the area where I'm stressed out right here. But no, I would when I got my associate's degree, to get my foot in the door, I really reached out to a consulting firm. At the time, they were called IOD, Information on Demand, but they're now known as SIOX. And I did a whole video on that as well. Like, one of the best ways to get your foot in the door is with consulting firms, because they're always looking for up and coming new people, trying to break the door down, trying to get in at that level, and then they train you up. So, one of my first forays was in SIOX as a release of information clerk. And I spent a good amount of time there. I want to say like 3 years. I think I was H.I.M clerk, and I really liked it. But again, always looking for that next level.
For sure, for sure. So what about what you do currently? You're serving in both the industry and in
Mm-hmm.
academia. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
tell us a little bit about both of those fields.
It's such a cliche, and I hate to be a cliche person, right? I like to be different. I like to stand out a little bit. But they say if you love your job, then you never work a day in your life. And I think that's true. I ain't trying to say I don't work because I work, but I don't work because I like it. You know what I mean? I love both sides. I love leadership, and I love academia. I love education. And as a administrator, in the actual field, I really like the creativity that affords me, and how I handle my day, how I can really focus on process improvement, how I can make things better for not only my staff, but for the department. And then, you flip that. And then on the educational side, I'm able to bring that real world experience to my students who want to get into the field. So I'm bringing that to them, and they're kind of asking me, one, how do you get into the field? Like you said. Two, what's it really like? Because again, having taught classes and taught classes, we can talk about, projects and group projects all day and assignments and discussion boards, but there's something different about, one, getting out there, and two, experiencing it. So I kind of bring that experience a lot closer to home for them. And then, there's a synergy between it, because where I find that it enriches my students and my education side, I'm able to bring all of that education and all of that coursework and course building back into my actual administrative role. Because what I like to do is, and one of my passions is, like I said, has been bridging those gaps. So one of the things I was so proud of, I created a wealth of educational tools for my last role. When I came into my last role, and I did a whole video. Sorry, I'm always plugging. I'm like, I got a video about this. Please go look, click it. Right. One of the things I talked about was when I stepped into my previous management role, it was kind of bare bones. There was no training, there was no real support. So it's like you're kind of hitting the ground running. It's sink or swim. And there was not a lot of educational pieces about each task and each role. I literally created, an actual educational suite of tools, step by step training for each and every function, not only for anybody that follows me stepping into that role as a leader, but that they can then take that and train whatever employee they have. Because you really can't set a expectation for your employee if you don't have the proper material and the proper support for them. Like you have to set that standard,
Yeah, you are saying a whole lot right there. I love that. I was thinking about this recently, actually, how much easier things are when we have the resources we need. Mm-hmm. And resources could be monetary, they could be relational, they could be knowledge. Like, things just go so much smoother when we have the resources that we need. So it sounds like you are really you have the resources that you need to be an outstanding leader for your department, and you're also providing those resources for your current staff and for those who are coming behind you. And I think that's awesome. Let's talk a little bit. Oh, go ahead,
Oh,
Jevon.
I'm sorry. No, I was going to say one of my goals is, try to leave it better than when you came in. And I think that's the ultimate crux of any leader. We're all going to have our time. Maybe stay with an organization 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, but it should be in a better place than when you came there. I think that's a good mark of an effective leader.
Sure, for sure, for sure. I love that. I want to talk a little bit about what you like most or love most about both sides. Because normally I hear people either they're in the profession or they're in academia. And it's not often where we find people who are really thriving in both areas. So what do you love most about being a leader, being an H.I.M director?
I like, I like the way the flexibility to approach my day. I like, process improvement. I like getting down to the nitty gritty of it, saying, okay, let me look at each process. How can I make it more efficient? And the thing is, it's not always, and I know like sometimes, when you get into the nitty gritty with your staff, it's not always making more work for your staff. It can be making the job easier for your staff. One of the things I did in my last job, we had our release of information team sending out audits, sending out records for insurance requests and ADRs and things like that. And what I found was that everything was kind of done off the top of their head. You know what I mean? And these were really diligent, hardworking people. But like, if Joanna is out, and then we get a call from Aetna, and they're saying, "What didn't you send that record out?" They're like, "Oh, I don't know, because Joanna isn't here." That just doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Like it didn't make any sense to me. So what I did was I implemented an entire tracking tool, a spreadsheet that they still use to this day. I don't call and check up on them, but I have a friend that that still works there, and it's an implementing tool. It's a spreadsheet so that anyone looking at that can have that data at their fingertips and can speak to it. Any individual in that department should be able to speak to where the state of that task is at any given time. It should not depend solely upon the person who performed it. That just didn't make any sense to me. So even though at first they felt like it seemed like a little bit more work, they were like, oh, you know what? I like this because it's cutting out the duplication of effort. And a lot of times you really can bridge that gap with your staff. And even though you're making changes and people sometimes don't like changes, they can realize, oh, you know what? Yeah, it actually is better this way,
Yeah, for sure. So
Yeah.
bring us to the academia side. What do you love most about
Yes.
being
Yes.
an academician?
So on the academic side, I love the enthusiasm, one, that the students have. I love, how bright-eyed and energetic they are. And they want to get out in the world. I want to do this. I want to do that. Everybody wants to do everything. And they want to, and they have all the potential in the world because it's like, hey, you got the whole thing ahead of you. You know what I mean? You have the whole miles ahead of you as far as what you want to do. I like helping them and bridging that gap for them and connecting them to their future. That's all I always say. Hey, if you need a letter of recommendation, let me know. If you want to call me, you just want to talk, you want to text me, email me, let me know. Because you have students that, one, they have questions and they don't know how to get from point A to point B, which is also why I created the YouTube channel, because there's so many things that we take for granted that we know that other people don't, and we think that they know, and then we find out that it's valuable knowledge. So it's sharing knowledge with them, and honestly, if I can, making their journey a little bit easier. You know what I mean? It's paving the road, saying I stumbled so that you don't have to. You know what I mean?
That is so good. That's so good. So how do the people respond to you? How do your students respond to you? Like how are they? What type of vibes do you pick up, Jevon?
It's, a lot of people are taken aback because I guess I'm on the younger side. You know what I mean? And I did a whole, again, I'm plugging a video, right? I did a whole video on what does success look like, right? We have in our minds these notions about what something looks like, what a healthcare administrator looks like, what a professor looks like, what a president looks like. And a lot of times people were like, "You're a professor?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Oh, okay," because I didn't think, and I was like, "Well, yeah, I am." You know what I mean? So it's like you can be anything that you want to be. And I think that they like my approach, which is a little more media based. You know, I really lean into my personal experiences. I really lean into doing video content because that's the way that this current generation digests information. Again, we supplement with the text. We have exercises. We have the whole 9 yards. We got PDFs and spreadsheets and all that. But you know, to really get down to it, a lot of the younger generation are looking at YouTube. They're looking at TikTok. You know, they want their information in as quick and as easy a form to digest as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where we really bridged it, because they're like, whoa, I really like what you're saying. And I'm very relaxed. I'm very like relatable. You know what I mean? I don't want to be like, I don't want to seem like I'm real far away, because I do understand what they're going through. I'm literally a student right now. I feel like I was just in school. I'm like, how did we get here? You know?
Yeah.
And then I look and then the grades are creeping up and I'm like,
oh, on that side, right?
Yeah, but just on this side. So don't look, so when I walk in, I'll be like this.
I love it. I love that. So when you first started out, right? Like when you were working, you talked about working on your associate degree. When you first started out, did you aim for where you are right now? Or was there a different goal in mind or vision in mind?
Yeah, there was a different goal. It was, you know, and it's always a evolving concept, evolving process. Like, you know, when I was younger, because again, my dad was a medical coder. So my goal out the door was, I'm going to be a medical coder, you know? And then when I got there, you know, and it's really, again, I hate the plug. I did a whole thing, right? It's like organizational awareness. My organizational awareness increased as I went up and as I got older, as I got more experience. You know, when I was a clerk, I thought only in the form of a clerk, you know, in the box. When I became a coder, you know, it opened me up a little more. And I said, okay, I see where I fit in an organization. And I actually went, you know, at that time to my director and I said, you know, for lack of a better term, I want to be you. How do I get to where you are? I want to do that, you know. And she was very humble and she kind of laughed about it. And she was very humble. And she said, you want to want to do what I do? I said, yes, I do. I want to be, you know, a director. And she gave me the map and she said, you know, I got my bachelor's, you know, I got my RHIA, I did this, I did that. And I said, okay. I was like, I can do that. And so from being a coder, then I was like, I'm going to be a director. You know what I mean? Boom, jumped around, coded, audited, you know, chief privacy officer, manager. And I was real close. And I was like, I want to be director. I got director. And now I'm just like, okay. But I'm like, yeah, but this ain't it though. Like this ain't it. Like this is, and I'm not saying it's not great. It's great, you know, to set a goal, to walk that path and to visualize it. And I'm gonna do another plug. I have a video called "Walking It Back: Getting the Job That You Want." That's what I did. I literally did that. You know, visualizing that, making that happen is great. But again, when you get to that upper level, you say, there's more. And I want to test myself. I want to push myself. I feel like I have so much more potential within me. And I want to see that actualized and realized. And I tell my students that all the time. And I tell my staff, hey, you know what? Our time together is our time together. But I will absolutely always help you grow. I will never hold you back. If you need advice, if you need, you know, support, if you need to know how to get to the next step, come and talk to me, you know? And like I said, it was just every step. I'm like, oh, there's another step. I didn't know that. Can I go up that ladder too? You know, and that's where I am right now.
I love that, because sometimes I think people kind of get stuck in this box and they apply self-applied limitations to themselves, you know, they just limit themselves, but keep going. And even once we do achieve a certain goal, if the goal was to become a director, like you said, okay, well, I'm here, but I'm not done yet. It's I got a whole lot of life to live. Okay. And a whole lot of things to experience. And not only that, but there is unlimited potential in each and every one of us that is just crying to be released. And so I think that it is so great that you continue to strive and you continue to be a visionary and see what you want and go after that and obtain that. So what is it? What's next for you? Like, what's the next step after this one, that this season, the next season that you're
the next episode? What's on season 3? No, but before I answer that, and I am going to answer, before I answer that, I want to just take a few seconds to expound upon that last point, right? I think that everybody, all of us, every human being, at least every human being I've ever met, right? We always compare ourselves to our contemporaries, right? To those around us. And like you said, that can allow us to get comfortable, to get complacent. And, when I have a friend that I kept in touch with all these years, when I was a release of information clerk, just starting out with my associate's degree, she and I spoke, and we were kind of, let's say we were at that same place, right? And she was like, "Oh, I'm kind of chill. I'm right here, And we reconnected recently through LinkedIn, and she was like, "How did you get all the way up there?" You know what I mean? Because it's like, it didn't seem like we knew each other, and we were both there, side by side, cubicle by cubicle, cracking jokes on the night shift, pulling records, just doing it. And then she looking at me like, "How did you get over there?" You know what I mean? And it's a little thing I like to call like, not being satisfied, but being content. Basically, you're happy and you're living in where you are. But like you said, you have more potential. So do not allow yourself to get complacent. If you can, do not allow yourself to get too comfortable, because you want to push to that next level. And if you can, surround yourself. What's the old saying? A rising tide lifts all ships. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you surround yourself with people who are doing, people who are advancing, you will, for the most part, compare yourself and say, "Oh, no, I got to do more. I know I can do more. I see you doing more," and you kind of inspire, and then there's a synergy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You bring people with you up to that next level. But to get back to the question that you asked, yeah. So I'm sorry, I'm so tangential. They're like, "Jevon, that's not what I asked you." I'm like, "Okay." I was like, "All right." I was like, but I'm having salmon for dinner. Like, how do we get on the topic of salmon? But
let's go with it. What's
right.
the size? What are the sizes?
Right. Asparagus and rice, with some chipotle over it, some sriracha. I'm with that. That's a good meal.
Yeah.
Anyway. Back to your question. No, yeah. So, having mastered the H.I.M realm, and again, seen more and tasted more, and seeing that there's a broader revenue cycle world, because a lot of people don't know H.I.M is H.I.M, but then it always feeds into, and it feeds into many other parts, compliance, risk, legal, quality, etc. But the one in which it is most attached is revenue cycle management. So, my goal is to be, a VP of revenue cycle management. That's what I'm going to school for. That's why I'm trying to pivot. And I do have that knowledge, but I'm still gaining it right now. Like I said, lifelong student. So I'm in that position to, okay, I'm in the dojo. You know what I mean? I'm in the gym. I'm putting the weights on. I'm sweating it out. I put my music on. I got my AirPods. I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's do some squats and some reps or whatever. And I'm just trying to make sure that when I come out on the other side of this, just like all my students, I'm a much stronger candidate. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I've mastered the H.I.M field, going to break into revenue cycle, going to knock that down, I'm going to master that same way that we master other things, and then I'll do videos on that too.
Yes. Let's talk about those videos, and because you've plugged the YouTube channel several times.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right. We're going to make you a sponsor for today's episode.
Yes.
You'll sponsor your own episode, right?
Yes.
All right. So let's talk about the YouTube channel. Give us what was the inspiration behind it? What was the fuel, behind you launching it? And why did you start it when you started it? Why was it at that appointed time?
So I had been teaching for about 3 or 4 years. And, like I said, I realized that students responded very well to video. Video as a format, it's a lot more personal. It's a lot more personable. They can feel like they get to know you, even through distance learning, even through online learning. They're like, "Oh, I know this guy. He's not just some text or like an announcement on a forum, like this is an actual person and I know him." What I found was that after every class, those videos, not that they disappeared, but my students were like, "Oh, professor, like I really like the stuff you were sharing. Like you were giving me career advice. You were doing this, you were doing that." And then my class is over, and I'm just out here like, "All right," but like I wanted to ask him more. You know what I mean? And so when I thought about that, I put it together and was like, "Wow, you know what? There's got to be a better way to do this, a more efficient way." So I just launched the YouTube because it's like I can still link those videos into my course and just keep it moving. And then that knowledge and information is always there for them to utilize, for them to pull from. They can even comment, ask me questions. It's always there. So I'll forever be their professor as long as they're subscribed. Subscribe.
And not only subscribe to Hey Professor, but also
Yes.
subscribe to the Qualifies YouTube channel. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to get you in here. Come and be a part of the family so that you can stay up to date on all of the wonderful content that the Qualified has to offer, as well as Jevon. He is dropping all types of gems and wonderful information on his YouTube channel. So please make sure that you stop by and check him out and subscribe, right? Okay, Jevon, what has been one of the biggest challenges or greatest challenges that you have experienced in your career journey?
Woo, pick one. But no, I would say, the biggest challenge for me sometimes, I think, is perception, right? And it's like in your mind, you think that something is one way, but the way people, the way someone sees you or perceives you is a different way. And you have to understand, and it goes for everybody in every position. And I have a video about communication. Sorry. um, um, what you say, especially in leadership, holds a lot of weight. You want to always have, if possible, neutral to positive communication with your staff, because something is simple. And I'm, and I've even done it, it's whereas I think I'm friendly and I'm warm and I smile and I laugh, and I do. I come out, I joke, and then I go back to my office or whatever. There are times when I'm just focused, okay, I got to do this, I got to do that. And I'm walking to my office and then I hear, "Yeah, but you're kind of unapproachable. Like, you didn't even say hi." And I'm like, "What?" And I'm like, "Oh, wait, I didn't say hi though." You know what I mean? So like, you really have to visualize yourself from the outside, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So, always be aware that, people, and even if you're well-meaning, people are going to sometimes take the things you say, out of context and not understand them. And my biggest challenge, I want to say, has definitely been on the management side. It's been sometimes, you just got to accept that, you're not going to be able to bridge that gap, no matter how well-meaning you are. Sometimes it's just not meant to be, but that's okay, because that's a part of the whole process too.
Yeah. Have there been any like outstanding challenges in the classroom that you've experienced?
No, I wouldn't say outstanding. I would just say, skewing towards the younger, and really it depends on where you teach, right? Every demographic is different, and I find that different colleges skew towards different people. So when I was starting out and I was teaching at community colleges, you have a lot of people who are older, who are returning to school after maybe they want to have a career pivot, they want to change. And, they're like, "I don't know what this guy's saying. He's using all these terms and, the hippity hoppity, and that music's too loud." And you know what I mean? It was like a lot of, no, I won't say a lot, but some of the older students were like, "I would like a more traditional, so," and that's why I had to make it more of a hybrid. Like, okay, so it's like, it can't just be, obviously, for the younger generation. It can't be for the older. It's got to be both, So I had to pivot initially. Initially, it was more like skewing towards the younger crowd. Had to kind of make it middle of the road so everybody could really embrace it, because sometimes you have to, really help your more legacy students, and they're like, "Okay, what is Microsoft Word? Which one is that?" And then like you always get that, that meme where they look over the glasses. It's like that. So which one is the right click? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So but you got to be very patient and understand everybody's on their educational journey.
Absolutely. I feel like I want to ask this now because, and I'm thinking about like how much you have been stretched and pruned and exercised by balancing these two worlds that are different, but you know, they still meet and they still come together. What do you think has been one of the greatest lessons that you've learned?
I think the greatest lesson I learned, you know, really, you know, I really started teaching around COVID, around the time that hit. And it was something I carried with me as my teaching philosophy is one of humanity, you know? And I always lead with saying this to my students, everybody's going through something, whether you know it or not. Everybody has a battle. I've had students that have lost family members. I've had students that have lost jobs in the middle of the semester, you know, who couldn't afford books, this, that, and the other. So the lesson that I simultaneously learn, but also teach and lead with is this, you know, if you can be flexible, do it. If you can be kind, be kind. If you can help, help. Because my job as a professor, and I say this in my video, you know, how I do things, is not to make your life harder as a student. It's not. My job is not to make your life harder as a student. I have seen some professors that are a little more rigid, and I think to myself, you know, be the kind of professor that you would want, you know, one who does uphold the academic quality of the organization, but is still supportive and approachable because professors, directors, and, you know, I'm not a bartender, but we're kind of like therapists. People come to us sometimes and like, you have to be human. You have to be open. And, you know, my philosophy is just one of, you know, humanity. Like I said, help if you can, and don't hinder too much, you know, everybody's going through something.
For sure. I can definitely attest to that because I think that has been something that I've learned too. And as serving in academia, it's, I remember when I first got into like teaching and serving as a faculty member, I was very rigid. I think I was very rigid with my thought processes and, you know, not giving a whole lot of grace and, you know, all of this type of stuff. But I believe that as life goes on and as we have experiences and as we encounter things, we grow, we develop, of course. And I begin to be, I hope, I feel this way at least, that I have become much more graceful than what I was in the beginning. Like extending grace is so important. And I like how you said your philosophy is one that focuses on humanity, because it's just understanding that like people have things going on. They're not going to always hit the mark, even though I set these deadlines and I want it done like this, and this. It's not always get like that. Like just be gracious toward people. And I think the same thing, I served it as a director as well in H.I.M. like you. And I think the same thing applies. I was much younger back then, serving as a director. So, but I think if I had to go back and serve as a director, I would probably be much more merciful than I was back in the day.
Yeah, and I've had students. Sorry, excuse me. I've had students across, you know, the organizations that I've worked, you know, always send me emails after the semester. Professor, I love the way you do things. Professor, you're the best professor I've ever had. I really appreciate you. I've had something to be like, Professor, you know, I thought about dropping out, but, you know, talking to you, you really helped me through it. People are going through things, man, whether you know it or not, they are. So, you know, just try to be as human as possible. That's what I like to go with.
For sure. And to just pour into people, to you know, to be people minded. And I think another important thing, I'm adding to your interview answers, but I think another important thing is to serve, like no matter what capacity we are in. If we're serving as a director, if we're a student, if we are a mother, a father, a husband, a wife, if we work at the bank, if we work at the grocery store, like it does not matter. It's all about serving others. And we talked about potential. We talked about, you know, the desires and gifts, kind of like our rephrase it in that way that we have. But those things, that potential, that those gifts, those abilities are for serving other people.
Mm-hmm,
It's not for us. And so I think that realization has even helped me to understand, hey, let's work with people a little bit more. Let's talk and, you know, be more people oriented and more mindful and kind, like you said, towards others. So I think that's great, Jevon. You want to add anything else to this?
Yeah. No, it is a servitude concept, because while you are the department head and the leader, or you're the administrator and the educator, the truth is, you know, if your staff fail, then you fail. You know what I mean? If my staff do a poor job, then there may be some way in which I haven't supported them properly. You know, am I giving them the right tools? Am I giving them the right education, the right training, the right resources? Same for my students, you know, and you teach, so you know, if you have 20 students and 19 fail, please believe they're going to be looking at you like, what is going, you know what I mean? It may be the method or the methodology or your approach that just doesn't work. So you are, as much as you're the leader, you are in a position of servitude. So it can be very humbling. You know, it's an understanding, and it's a balancing act.
For sure, for sure. Jevon, this has been so good. Before we get ready to go and wrap it up, though, I want to do a lightning round with you. So this lightning round, let me explain it. I'm just gonna throw out some questions, okay? And I'm just going, and you're just gonna roll off the answers, off the just come out with them, okay? So
zing, toilet paper. No. Survey says no. Sorry, got it. I got it.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right. So lightning round questions. These are some related, but maybe not so much related. All right. But we want to take a stab at it. So first lightning round question is, what is your favorite leadership quote?
My favorite leadership quote is from Malcolm X, and that's the one I lead. That's the one I do on my YouTube channel. It's that education is not the goal. It's education plus, you know, quality plus kindness. That is the goal.
Oh, okay. And what is the best book that you have read recently?
Oh, the best book that I have read recently is, oh my God, I'm going to say it. I'm kind of a Harry Potter fan. I apologize. I'm a Harry Potter fan. I like it. All right. It's okay. It's all right. That's the one I read recently. All right. Recently. Yes.
That's the best book, Harry Potter. What's Harry Potter?
It is. It's the one where Dumbledore falls. It's not called Dumbledore for Harry Potter, and then Dumbledore fell. You know, R.I.P. the guy that played him. I think he died today. But no. What is it? It's Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. There you go.
Oh, okay. All right. What is your biggest pet peeve concerning leadership? What's your biggest leadership pet peeve?
Ooh, my biggest leadership pet peeve is poor communication from above. And when you are not, and I stress this to everybody, I stress this to myself, you have to give people the resources they need before you hold them accountable. Remember what I said earlier? I said, like, you have to have the material to train them. You got to have the resources. You know, if I wouldn't give you a computer without a keyboard and then ask you to send an email, basically like that.
Okay. If you could spend today with anyone in the world, who would you spend it with? And tell us why.
Okay. I would spend it with my best friend. She's funny, she's kind, she's energetic and she's quirky, but you know, she's my best friend. So she kind of completes me in that way.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
Is there something in your life recently that you are really proud of that most people would not know about?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm proud of the fact that I'm juggling so much and I'm able to kind of make sure all the pieces are moving forward. You know, I don't want anything to fall behind. Teaching, being an administrator, being a student, you know, I want all those elements to move at the same time. And to be able to do that, I think, and keep my sanity is a tremendous undertaking. So I'm proud of myself for that.
Okay. All right. If you could give a word of encouragement to, let's say, someone who's serving in leadership in H.I.M., if you could give a word of encouragement to them right now, they're discouraged, they need to hear something, what would you say?
I would say be the leader that you would want to be. I would say, have an open door when you can, but you know, I would say, have an open door when you can, but make sure that any bad elements are being cut out. Identify the bad, reward the good. That's what I would say.
Okay. All right. I have 3 more questions. 3 more lightning
Yeah.
round questions. Okay.
You can have 4, 6, 8. That's good. I'm with you.
Okay. All right. So what is something you're really good at that you will never want to do again?
Wow. I'm really good at that. I would never want to do again. Um, you know what? Yeah, I got it. Okay. I'm really good at coding, but I've moved beyond it. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with the field. I've moved beyond it. Anything that I have evolved past, I don't want to do it again. That's it.
I love that. Okay. All right. Here's the next one. Top 2 NFL, NBA, and college football teams right now, in your opinion.
Top 2. I'm from Philly, so it's got to be Eagles.
Okay.
And I don't even really follow college, so I just would say Eagles and then college Eagles.
Okay. All right. And last one, what are the unspoken rules of your department?
The unspoken rules of my department are just relax. We're going to get through it. We're going to figure it out. That's what I was like, I'll figure it out. That's my favorite thing to say. People would say all the time, like, Giovanni, you good? I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. Whatever it is, I'll make it work. I always do.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Jevon, this has been fun.
I've had fun as well.
Oh my goodness, this has been great. Listen, I hope everyone subscribes to Jevon's YouTube channel. Hey_professor. You got to check him out, okay? Go by, look at the content that he's posting. I guarantee you it will be something that you can use to advance in your career, advance in your life, advance in your academic track, whatever it is you need. Jevon's got it. He's got all kind of wisdom, life skills, and lessons learned, and he's sharing that expertise with the world. So please stop by his YouTube channel. Again, we will make sure to include all of his information in the description box. We also want to encourage you to subscribe to the Qualified's YouTube channel so that you can stay up to date on more content like this. We are going to continue interviewing male H.I.M professionals to get their perspectives on the world of health information management. So until next time, everyone, we want you to continue shining bright. We will hopefully see you or hear from you or connect with you soon. We're going to drop all of the information for how to stay connected with the Qualified's other social media platforms in the description box as well as Jevon's. We can put yours in the description as well, right, Jevon?
Okay. Yes, absolutely. Please do put it twice. Put it twice. Okay.
All right. We'll put all of it in there. Okay. So thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.